Hey, so carrying on with blues licks, and what we're going to do is look at making blues licks from the caged chord shapes. So we're going to use the caged chord shapes as a blueprint, as a map, and we're going to have the last note of each phrase, of each lick, is going to be one of the notes in the chord shape. So if we take shape 1, let's think about, we were in G last time, so let's stick with G, and we're thinking G minor. So this is shape 1, and this is the minor chord that comes out of shape 1. That is, every note in this chord is contained within pentatonic shape 1. There, 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 and there. Yeah? And of course the scale has more notes. There, 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 there. So that's our shape. It's much easier to picture a chord shape, or usually is easier to picture a chord shape than a scale shape. So you can visualize that without playing it, and you can think, okay, and I'm going to visualize the scale shape, superimpose it or over the top of the chord shape, think of both of them, and I'm going to use scale shape number 1, and I'm going to resolve or end my phrase on that note of this chord. Okay, so I've made a phrase and I've resolved on the top note of this chord shape, which happens to be the root note, 2 octaves up. I could do something else like, and I'm still resolving to that note. So this exercise is about resolving to notes within the chord shape, okay? Because they're going to be really strong notes because they're chord tones, and so it's going to sound good to resolve on those. It's going to sound very consonant with the chord, with the band playing that chord. And now, so we've got a few, yeah, thinking of that, and keep those phrases short for the beginning. This is just an exercise, so you don't have to make up, hugely elaborate, yeah, going all the way from one part of the scale, from one end of the shape to the other. Just a few notes. Just to get used to the idea of, yeah, you're landing here, for example, yeah, or you're landing on one of the chord tones. So now let's go to the B string and make up a lick and end on 3rd fret of the B string, which is also within that shape. So now that last one, that's not so great, although that could fit somewhere else, but that. Yeah, so you can play around and find things that, yeah, that doesn't seem to, well, I don't like the sound of that. Maybe it could fit over something, I'm sure it could, but find things that you like the sound of, and like I said, just keep it simple. That's fine, or, yeah. So far I like that. And this one. And you can try, if you get a bunch of notes that you like, a sequence of notes that you like, you can try it in different rhythms and see if you still like that. But you're getting these little units, yeah, these really little building blocks. That's a phrase within itself. And remember to use expressions like sliding into a note or vibrato. Very typical to put vibrato on the last note of a phrase. Yeah, so use these little phrases, little simple phrases at first, and then you can use those as building blocks to get bigger phrases. Yeah. And now let's try a phrase ending on the 3rd fret of the G string. So far we had phrases ending on the root note, 2 octaves up, the 5th of the chord. Let's try the flat 3rd. And then you get to know the sound of these chord tones, yeah? So, right, so that's the sound of a lick ending on the root. That's the sound of a lick ending on the 5th. And that's the sound of a lick ending on the flat 3rd, minor 3rd. Yeah, and of course you can put that flat 5 in there, not just the pentatonic, the blues shape as well. Okay, so a few variations there. And you can string skip as well. See if you like any of the sounds that you get by doing that. String skipping, I mean, I had the previous note to the last one, the penultimate note, was on a string not adjacent to the last note. So that's G string, 3rd fret was the last note, and the phrase before that, yeah, it could be anywhere, yeah? There I was on the top string, 3rd fret. And so go on like that throughout the chord shape. So the next one would be the root again, in this octave. That's a very typical one. And the next note would be the 5th here in this octave. And of course that will work, you'll find this as you jam over a 12 bar. That's going to work over, well, it's going to work over either the 1 chord, the 4 chord or the 5 chord, but it'll work particularly well, for example, this one ending on the 5th of the 1st chord. Well, it's the 5th of the 1st chord, so it's also the root note of the 5 chord. So it's going to work really well over a 5 chord. And it will work over the 1 chord, of course, because it's, as I said, the 5th of the 1 chord. It won't work so great over the 4 chord. It will still work though, depending on the context, because there you're on the, in relation to the 4 chord, you're on the 9th or the 2nd, and that gives it a sense of suspension as well. But because it's a chord tone because it's a chord tone of the 1 chord and the 5 chord, it's going to work particularly well over those. And so that's pretty much covered, and of course we've got the root note there. So all those sorts of things, I'm ending on the root there. So these are good exercises to do to get yourself little phrases which you've got as a repertoire. They're building blocks which you can then build on, use to put together, stack them, join them up together and make longer phrases. Yeah. So for example, I can't think of the ones that I've just done, but something like so that was a root there, and root there. In sequence, giving you, a few lines, a few licks. That was in shape 1, in box 1. In box 2 we got G minor there. So again, these 4 notes, root, 5th, root or octave, flat 3rd. This is the next chord in the caged sequence, and it comes out of the shape 2. So again, use shape 2. I mean, again, the same concept. Use shape 2, notes from shape 2, and get some licks ending on that note, that note, that note, and that note. all the notes of the chord shape, yeah? So there'll be chord tones again. So that was ending there on the flat third. That was ending on the root or octave. Let's see. Now let's end on the fifth. Yeah, and finally root again there, but using this shape, shape 2 rather than shape 1. Yeah, various things. Yeah, really simple to slightly more. Okay, and do that with shape 2. Shape 3. So in a minor shape, we've got that shape, and we'll go over that if we haven't already. And you're using shape 3 pentatonic or blues scale. So again, there's a root, and there's a lick, and there's a flat third. Okay, and there's a fifth. And root again. Okay, flat third there. And of course then shape 4 with a minor shape and shape 4 pentatonic. And again, all the notes in this shape. Yeah, and then finally shape 5. So, I just thought, these are all minor shapes. If you're not clear on the minor shapes, I know that you're clear on the dominant 7 shapes, so try it with the 5 dominant 7 shapes. Yeah, it's the same principle, you just, Yeah, and then you're back to shape 1 again. Okay, so that's a way of building licks and a way of starting to recognize the sounds of ending on the root, the third, the fifth, and of course it can be the 7th as well. Carry on, extend it into that. But get the root, third and fifth first. And it's good exercise to get used to your shapes and also to get yourself licks, building blocks of licks, which end on chord tones, which generally helps. Okay, and I hope that helps. Okay, bye.